Good morning, everyone. Up to now, we have discussed about various techniques of chromatography. So, in that, first we discuss about paper chromatography, then TLC thin layer chromatography, then column chromatography. After that, ion exchange chromatography. And in last class, we have discussed about gas chromatography. Now today we are going to discuss about high performance liquid chromatography, in short that is also known as HPLC, and it is also known as high pressure liquid chromatography. Okay, so in that lesson we are going to learn about what introduction, principle, types of HPLs, schematic diagram, instruments and its functions, applications and advantages. So okay, these things we are going to learn in this topic, that is HPLC. Okay, let's see the introduction. So HPLC is known as high performance liquid chromatography, and it is also known as high pressure liquid chromatography, as already I said you. So in high performance liquid chromatography, the basically it is improved. In that what we use, we use improved column. So here see, improved form of a column chromatography. So it is nothing but a extension of column chromatography. In that column chromatography, we have filled a pack column. We packed a column in the cylinder, and then by using that column, we separated components or analytes. But it is improved. This HPLC is highly improved with respect to column chromatography. Instead of a solvent being allowed to drip through a column under gravity. So in that what we have done, so first on that surface of the column we introduce the sample mixture followed by the mobile phase. So that mobile phase is percolated into the column through the gravitational force. But here that thing is not going to be happen. So here it is forced through the under high pressure. So now the solvent, that means that mobile phase is allowed to flow through the column by applying the force, or that is pressure. So here by applying pressure up to 400 atmospheres, then what happens, this mobile phase flow faster flow faster, it moves very faster. Okay, so that is the difference. High power means here what happens compared to ordinary column chromatography, this HPLC is faster. Why? Because we are um, subjected the mobile phase to the high pressure. So this high pressure enables the easy flow or facilitate the easy flow of mobile phase to the column, or that is stationary phase. Okay, as like in column chromatography, here the physical state of our stationary phase is solid. So when we are using the solid stationary phase, the principle is adsorption principle. So during the first when we introduce the mixture, then what happened, adsorption takes places. After introducing the eluate, desorption takes places. Okay, now high performance liquid chromatography is basically high improved form of the column chromatography. In column chromatography, the solvent is being allowed to drip, that is percolate through a column under gravity. Due to the gravitational force, it percolates. It is, but here it is forced through under high pressure of up to 400 atmosphere. That makes it much faster. Okay, it also allows you to use very much smaller particle size of column packing material, that gives much greater surface area for interactions between the stationary phase and the molecules flowing past it. So that means here, compared to ordinary column chromatography, in this column HPLC, the column is prepared using very small and finally divided solid, that is silica. So generally here we use silica, so finally divided silica. So when we are using finally divided silica, that silica finally divided small particle size of that silica enables to greater surface area. So thereby what happens, the interactions between the stationary phase and the analyte is much improved, and the interaction between the stationary phase and the mobile phase flowing past it. Okay, this allows much better separation. So what happens when the analytes are adsorbed properly or firmly with stationary phase compared to other what happens. So here during the separation, the components are completely separated. Okay. The major improvement over column chromatography concerned the detection method which can be used. So here in that column chromatography, what we have, just we can collect the samples in a sample solution, or you can say elute. But here what happens, this column chromatography is attached to a detector, so thereby we can identify the easily identify the or interpret the structure of the molecule also. Next principle. So the working principle. So just as I know, as I said that as I said that. So since the stationary phase is a solid, and here the principle is working principle is adsorption chromatography principle. Okay, same here. See. The separation of principle of HPLC is based on the distribution of analyte between the mobile phase and stationary phase. So as we know that this chromatography is involved in the basic principle or mechanism involved the different interactions between the in different affinities or interactions of analyte of sample with stationary phase and as well as mobile phase. Depending on the chemical structure of the analyte, the molecules are retarded while passing through the stationary phase. So depending on the chemical structure of the analyte, molecules are retarded while passing the stationary phase. So what happens if they have structural similarities or due to intermolecular attractions with stationary phase? What happens that analyte will be held strongly or firmly by stationary phase. So thereby what happens? Separation can take place. The specific interaction, intermolecular interaction between the molecule of sample and the packing material define their time on column. So just now we said that if the partition coefficient value, KD value is greater, sorry, we're supposed to not use KD value. So if the interactions are more, then what happens? The analyte will spend more time. So that means the retention time of the analyte is more. Hence, different constant of a sample are elute at different times. So different times. So that means so different component analytes shows the different affinities toward the stationary phase. So that's why they are held to different attracted to different extensions. So thereby this during elution the samples are eluted at different times. So there is a separation of the ingredient achieved. And a detection unit. So this column is attached to a detection unit. So that detection unit may be UV detector, or in advance you can also couple this HPLC with the mass spectrometer, or you can also couple with proton NMR. So you may have the probability. So but here our detected unit contains one UV detector. So by using this UV detector, we can convert the signals. The signals are converted and recorded by the data management system, that is computer software, and then shown in a chromatogram. So chromatogram means here nothing but a graph. We get the graph after passing. After passing the detector unit, the mobile phase can be subjected to the additional detector units and the fractions collection unit are the base. So that means once the analyte is detected by the detector, then that elute is collected in another component, and it is collected as waste. Okay. Next, types of HPLC. So depending on the separation principle, the HPLC are classified into four types: normal HPLC, reverse HPLC, size exclusion HPLC, and ion exchange HPLC. So let's see what happens in normal phase of HPLC. In normal phase of HPLC, the separation of analytes is done on the basis of polarities. So that means if our stationary phase is more polar, then it will attract polar analytes firmly than compared to non-polar. So that means the polar components may retention time is more compared to non-polar analytes. So that means non-polar analytes are separated first, followed by polar analytes. So this thing will happen. So during normal phase of HPLC, let's see, this method separate analytes on the basis of polarities. Normal phase HPLC use polar stationary phase and non-polar mobile phase. So when we are using the polar stationary phase, so obviously mobile phase nature should be somewhat opposite. Okay, so when we are using stationary phase, so analytes, polar stationary phase, the polar analyte will be held or absorbed strongly by the stationary phase, and non-polar will not be absorbed. So at that time, if we introduce the mobile phase as a non-polar, then what happens? The non-polar moieties easily percolates or partition into the molar phase, and thereby those can be separated first. So in that process, first non-polar components are separated first, followed by the polar components. Okay, so phase, and therefore the stationary phase is using silica. So here silica, as we know that the silica nature is, it is polar in nature. And next, typical mobile phase, here generally we use mobile phase, non-polar mobile phase. In the non-polar mobile phase, we can prepare a mobile phase by using or by taking one solvent, or by taking more than one solvents, a mixture of solvents. So here the mobile phase is consists of hexane, methyl chloride, chloroform, diethyl ether, and the mixtures of these. Or you can take individually, or you can mix with appropriate proportion. So polar samples are thus retained on the polar surface of the column packing longer and then less polar, that means non-polar material. So next come to the reverse phase HPLC. So this reverts to normal. So in normal phase, our stationary phase is polar, but in our reverse phase, the stationary phase is non-polar. So here what happens? So non-polar. So silica G. Generally we use the silica G. So when silica is coupled to a long chain alkane or carbon compounds, then that stationary phase becomes non-polar in nature. Okay, but it is non-polar. It can form hydrophobic. It may have hydrophobic nature. So hydrophobic nature means, phobia means it repels the water. Okay. In nature, while the mobile phase is polar, liquids such as mixture of water and methanol. So since our stationary phase is non-polar, that to be hydrophobic, what happens? It doesn't absorb water molecule. So here the mobile phase is consist of polar liquids such as a mixture of water and methanol or acetonitrate. You can do. It works on the principle of hydrophobic interactions. So that means non-polar. So hydrophobic, hydrophilic. So hydrophilic means which can attract water molecule, or which can be attracted by water molecule. Hydrophobic means which repels the water molecule. So here the driving force is what? Hydrophobic interactions. Okay, if hydrophobic interactions are more, then what happens? That material retained by our non-polar solvent for long time. Okay, so hydrophilic molecules or hydrophilic analyte will be separated first. Next, third one, size exclusion HPLC. The column is filled with material having precisely controlled porous size. So here see, in previous cases we have taken the stationary phase, so that is made of with whom same our silica, but silica is, we know that it is a amorphous, it is finally divided uh, amorphous solid. And but here what happens while taking the stationary phase, here we are controlling the size of pore size of our stationary phase. Okay, so precisely controlled pore size, the particles are separated according to their molecular size. So here the driving force is what? The size of molecules. Okay, in first case, driving force is polar, non-polar. Second case is hydrophilic and hydrophobic. And in third case is what? Molecular size. Okay. Okay, sorry. Molecular size. So the column is filled with material having precisely controlled pore size, and the particles are separated according to its their molecular size. So large molecules are rapidly washed through the column. So that means only small molecules of analyte will be absorbed by this our column. So the column is consist of with what? Precisely control pore, that to be particles are so it has controlled pore size. So that means our mixture may have some small pores. So in that small pores, only smaller molecule will be embedded. So larger molecule cannot be embedded in that. So thereby it can be flushed out. Okay, well, applying mobile phase. Smaller molecules penetrate inside. So embedded means penetrate inside the pores of the packing material and elutes later. Okay. Next, ion exchange HPLC. So as like in previous class we have discussed about ion exchange chromatography. Same principle here also applies. So here what happens? The stationary phase is an ionically charged surface of oppositely charged to the sample ions. So that means our stationary phase has two ends. One is fixed ion, so that fixed ion may carry the one charge. For suppose our fixed ion carry the negative charge, so that means that counter ion may carry positive charge, and here that counter ion will be exchanged with the sample ion. The sample ion charge should be opposite to that of our fixed ion. Okay. So that is it. This technique is used almost exclusively with ionizable samples. So when we are separating ionizable or ionic samples, at that time we use this type of stationary phase. The stronger charge in the sample, the stronger it will be the attracted to the ionic surface, and thus longer time will take to elute. The mobile phase and aqueous buffer, where the pH, where the both pH, where the both the pH and the ionic strengths are used to control the illusion time. Okay, next. So this is the schematic diagram of our HPLC. So this is mobile phase chamber. Here we use, you can use one mobile, one solvent, or you can use gradient, different solvents. Okay, so gradients of solvent gradients means, so first we pass non-polar solvent, then bit polar, then more polar, one by one. So from non-polar to polar. So different solvents can be passed through this chamber. Okay, so solvent gradation or gradient, solvent gradient generally we say. So this is the pump. This is the HPLC pump. So where the HPLC pump we can apply, or we can create the pressure. So thereby the pressure, what happens, this flow rate of the solvent as dramatically increases. Next, this is the sample. This is the sample. This is the injector. So through this injector, what we introduce the sample, and the sample will coupled with our mobile phase, and then that both will be subjected into the column. So here this is the column, and this column is packed with finally divided stationary phase, that may be silica. So generally here we are using silica. So the silica, nature of the silica is polar. If we are using silica G, that is non-polar in nature. Okay, so selection of material also very important. So that selection of the stationary phase material or nature of the stationary phase depends on the components which are to be separated. Okay, next, the once the so what happens, so when we subjected this sample as well as the mobile phase, it will travel this column. While traveling the column, what happens, the analytes will show the different affinities towards the mobile phase and stationary phase, and the analyte which has a greater affinity towards the mobile phase, that will be first comes out, and that will be entered into the detector. Here what happens, here this detector will detect the nature of the analyte, and this is the waste means elute, the sample contained the mobile phase, and then this detector is coupled to a recorder. So where that recorder, that is generally that is computer, in that computer we with the help of software, so this detector will send some signals. So this software of this system will convert those signals into the peak, and this we can obtain a graph. That graph is known as chromatogram. So this is the schematic diagram of HPLC. This is solvent chamber. This is where this is pump, and this is injector. This is HPLC column, detector, and this is a instrument or an equipment where from the where we can collect the waste. Waste means elute, and this is computer. So this printer will give a chromatogram. Okay, so this is about the HPLC instrument. So let's see the instrument and functions of each instrument. So here see, first one is solvent reservoir. So this is solvent reservoir. So here the solvent reservoir is filled with or contains our selected mobile phase. So here we can select the mobile phase, as non-polar or polar, or you can go with single solvent, or you can go with mixture of solvents with different proportions. Okay, so generally selection of mobile phase and depends on the nature of the analytes to be separated, as well as the nature of the stationary phase. So generally what we do, so we take opposite nature. Our mobile phase nature should be opposite to the stationary phase. For suppose if our stationary phase is consist of a silica, that is polar stationary phase, then our mobile phase should be non-polar. So first what we do this here we can use gradient solvent. So gradient solvent, first what we do, first we introduce non-polar. Why? Because our nature of the our column is polar. So first what we do, first we introduce the non-polar solvent. So then what happens, this non-polar solvent will separate out non-polar analyte from this solution mixture, sample mixture. And if this the polar components of solvent sample will be strongly attracted or pulled by the column HPLC column. So then how we can elude them? So by changing the by increasing the polarity of the solvent. So first what we do is first we send non-polar solvent, then slowly next we send somewhat more polar solvent. So slightly we what gradually we increase the polarity of the solvent, so thereby we can separate the all components from this. So this is reservoir, solvent reservoir, and from the solvent reservoir, solvent is subjected to the HPLC pump. So where this pump what happens, it pumps it pushes the solvent. So how the velocity of that solvent will be increased by pressure. So here we apply around 400 atmosphere pressure. So at that pressure our solvent flow very fastly, rapidly through this column. And so that's why this HPLC method is also known as high pressure. High pressure means here we are applying around 400 atmospheric pressure. Okay. So mobile phase contents are contained in a glass reservoir. The mobile phase are solvent in HPLC is usually mixture of polar and polar liquid components whose respective concentration are varied depending on the composition of the sample. So here in this technique, here usually a mixture of solvents. So that mixture of solvent contains polar as well as non-polar. Okay. Next pump, that is second. So this is solvent reservoir and this is HPLC pump. So let's see, the pump aspirates the mobile phase. So that means it will it will take the uh, it draw the our mobile phase from the reservoir, from the solvent reservoir, and force it through the system's column. So and the detector. So this pump, what happens, it sucks, it draws the mobile phase from the reservoir, and then it sent into the column followed by the detector, depending on a number of factors including column dimension. So here again see the column dimension. So column dimension means this one. So it means the length and area of cross section. So depending on diameter of depending on the number of factors including column dimensions, the particle size of the stationary phase. Again, just now I told you in our how HPLC are four types: is size, exclusion, HPLC. So in size HPLC, we are using particles, our silica, fine silica. Fine silica means the particle size of that silica is very small. So here the selection of pump also influenced by whom? Particle size of the stationary phase. The flow rate and composition of the mobile phase, operating pressure up to 4,200 kilopascals. Okay. So depending on these three, what we are doing, we are applying or we are changing the pressure. Okay. Next, sample injector. So this is third component. So the sample injector can be a single injection, so or it can be automated injection system. An injector for an HPLC system should be provided injection of the liquid sample with the range of this value. So that means our injector can inject our mobile phase, that to sorry, what is this, a sample? So that will be in liquid phase. In gas chromatography we introduced our sample in gaseous phase. So if we have taken the liquid sample, so then that one is vaporized and the vapors of that sample is subjected into the column. column in gas chromatography. But here in HPLC chromatography, so the sample liquid state of sample is we are using, and how much volume, 0.1 to 100 ml of volume can be subjected into the HPLC column. Next, columns. So columns are usually made of the polished stainless steel and the range. So between 50 to 50 millimeters to 300 millimeters long, and have the internal diameter between 2 to 5, and they are commonly filled with stationary phase with the particle size of 3 to 10 micrometer millimicrons. So particle size of the silica stationary phase is very very small. So finally divided border should be taken. So column with internal diameter less than 2 nanometers are often referred to as micro columns. So that means if a diameter of our column is less than 2 millimeters, so that column is known as micro columns. And ideal temperature of the mobile phase and the column should be kept at constant during the experiment. So that means, see, during this our experiment, the temperature should not be changed, that should not be vary. Okay, so throughout our experiment, the temperature should be remain constant. And next, fourth component is after HPLC column. Fifth one is a detector. So this HPLC detector is located at the end of the column. Detector the analyte as the elute from the chromatography column. So here so once the elution takes place, the elute one by one elute is uh, entered into the detector from the column. So commonly used detectors are UV spectroscopy, fluorescence or mass spectrometer, or electrochemical detectors. So here, so depends. If you want to measure the qualitative analysis, then you go with mass spectroscopy. If you want to quantitative analysis, if you want to do quantitative analysis, then we can use UV spectrometer fluorescence. Okay, depending on our requirement, we can couple our detector with these instruments. Next, data collection device. So data collection device is nothing but a computer. So it is operated through a software. So the software converts these signals into the peaks. Okay. So this is about the HPLC. How we execute the HPLC. What are the instrument? So what is HPLC? What is the principle involved in, and instrumentation diagram. So okay, working procedure also same. Next one, applications. So generally this HPLC where we use in pharmaceutical applications. So to control the drug stability, the tablet dissolution study of pharmaceutical dosage form, pharmaceutical quality control. So the majorly this HPLC used in pharmaceuticals. So where to control the drug stability and the tablet dissolution study. So tablet dissolution study means generally we administer the tablet through oral. So that means that our tablet should be dissolved in water, and in stomach the pH is acidic medium, and intestines is the basic medium. So depending on the changing the pH, we can identify the dissolution of the tablet, where it dissolves rapidly or where it dissolves less. And that means in acidic medium or basic medium. Okay. And pharmaceutical quality control in the sense we can identify the purity of the our drug and the contaminants present, what are contaminants present in our drug. Okay, so this is about quality control. Next, environmental application also we widely use this HPLC. So here detection of phenolic compounds in drinking water. So generally in water analysis, groundwater analysis or river water, drinking water analysis. So we use this HPLC particularly to detect the presence of phenolic compounds. Next, biomonitoring pollutants also can be detected by using this HPLC. Next, application in forensic science. Forensic science, the quantification of drug in biological samples. So that means quantification means quantity of drug can be analyzed by using this HPLC. So just now I told you. So this HPLC is used in analytical analysis, qualitative analysis, as well as in quantitative analysis. So this is quantitative analysis. Next, identification of steroids present in blood, urine, etc. So this so generally during the investigation, the police officers or comes, what they do, so they want to know the cause of the death. So cause of the death, maybe if a chemical or poison or any steroid, so those can be identified by using this one. Forensic science analysis of textile dyes and the determination of cocaine and other drugs abuse in the blood are used. So in general, drug addicts. So how much drug they are inhaled or used, consumed, or whatever it may be, can be identified by means of analysis of blood. Next, food and flavors. So in food industry also we can frequently, widely we use the HPLC. So for what purpose? Let's see. The measurement of quality of soft drinks and water. So again, the soft drinks. So soft drinks, if you remember, so Sunita Narayan is an environmental scientist. So first she disclosed that the percentage of urea, that is percentage of benzoic acid, is more in our soft drinks compared to other countries, and it is far more greater than our Indian standard. So how she able to quantify the amount of that benzoic acid or urea by means of this technique. So sugar analysis in fruit juice and analysis of, so during packing, so while packing, so they analyze the sugar content. Okay, sugar is susceptible to what we say microbial deterioration. Analysis of polycyclic compounds present in vegetables and preservative analysis. Next, application in clinical test, urine analysis, that means in pathology. In pathology, we use HPLs, so urine analysis, antibiotic analysis in blood, analysis of bilirubin, bile body in hepatic disorders, detection of endogenous and neuropeptide and extracellular fluid of brain, etc. So these are the applications. So particularly it is used in pharmaceutical industry, environmental applications, application in forensic science, food industry, and application in clinical tests. Next, let's say the advantages. So what are the advantages of HPLC over remaining techniques? It can test both raw material and finished products. Raw material means the starting material, and finished products means last product yield. And it can be detect contaminants and other impurities. So by means of this, we can identify the contaminants and impurities, particularly in food or in blood or whatever. Okay. It can perform competitor product analysis. The competitor product analysis means we can quantify the amount of a substance by comparing the chromatogram of that with standard. And it can determine the product stability and shelf life. So product stability means, so generally, if you look at any packing item, on that packing, you can find one thing. It is uh, useful up to 12 months from packing date, or it is useful up to 1 year or 2 years. All those things. So those are that is what the stability of that particular product. So by using this HPLC, we can determine the stability. And as a shelf life. Shelf life means without undergoing any chemical change. So that is known as the shelf life. Okay, so these are the advantages. Next, testing can be done even with just a small sample size. So for analysis, we need very small quantity of sample. If you recall the injection in the in the schematic diagram, also the instrumentation I told you, it is 0.1 ml. So I will show you. So this is milliliter, 0.1 milliliter of sample is enough to identify, uh, to detect it. Okay, so in this technique we require very small size of sample, and it enables to you modify the testing depending on the needed quantification levels. Modification means in the sense, if you want to change the pH, or if you want to change the temperature, those modifications can be done by using this. The results it produced are reliable. So whatever results are obtained from this are very genuine and reliable. So that means correct. It is helpful in developing the better products, and let's you better. Okay. So this is about the HPLC. Okay, just recall. So introduction. So what is HPLC, and what components it contains, and what principle it works, on what basis it works. And next, classification of HPLC, high power liquid chromatography. So these are four types: normal, reverse, size exclusion, ion exchange. Okay, so these are the HPLC's four types based on uh, the separation technique. Okay, and next this is layout or schematic diagram of HPLC. So this is solvent reservoir, this is HPLC pump, injector, this is column, this is detector, and this is a data acquisition or recording data recording instrument, and the waste, that means LUT, collecting reservoir or any instrument. Okay. So here what we do, this reservoir is will be loaded with our mobile phase. So mobile phase may be one solvent, or it may be mixture of solvents. So the mixture of solvent generally comprises ideal mobile phase is which contains more polar as well as non-polar solvents with that to be appropriate proportion. Okay, so generally selection of some mobile phase depends on the nature of column as well as the compounds to be analytes to be analytes, nature of analyte. So this is HPLC pump. So the duty of this pump is it will um, what we say, it aspirates the, it takes the solvent from this solvent reservoir or mobile phase reservoir, and then it ejects or it sent into the injector and HPLC column. So how? By applying the force. When we apply the force or pressure, so what happened? The flow rate of the mobile phase is very much faster. Okay. So one of the advantage of this HPLC is also it is very fast technique. It will take less time, and come over it is advantages over ordinary column chromatography. Also ordinary column chromatography, what happens, that will be our mobile phases drift and drip and drip through the gravitational force, but here and moreover to percolate the throughout the sample in ordinary column chromatography, it will take more time, and the acting force is gravitational force. But here the pump, the pressure, what happens by building or by increasing, by applying high pressure, the flow rate of mobile phase is very very fast. And this is injector chamber. So through this chamber we inject sample into the HPLC column. So what type of samples can be injected? Liquid phase. Generally we use liquid phase samples, and that to be 0.1 milliliters to 100 ml milliliter sample can be loaded at once. So it some depending on our requirement, our instrument may contain only one injector chamber, or it may be contain number of injector chamber. And this is the column. So it is very very important instrument. So that is HPLC column, and the length and diameter. So generally diameter 2 to 5 nanometers, and length is 22 sorry, so length may be 50 to 300 nanometers. Okay, if the diameter of this nanometer is less than 2 millimeters, then it is termed as a micro column. And this column is filled with stationary phase, so that to be fine powder. It is packing, for packing of this column we use fine finely divided uh, powder. So that means it if our stationary phase has very small particle size is very small, so that to be 5 to here millim, millimoles. Okay, how much? 3 to 10 millimoles. So if how much if we use finer stationary phase, then what happens? The pore size is smaller. So when the pore size is smaller, the large molecules can be float very fastly, removed fastly. Okay. And this is detector. So where the analyte, which is here, what happens? Elute. So what is elute? Elute is nothing but mobile phase with analyte, is known as elute. So elute will be detected here, and this is elute collecting chamber, and this elute is a detector, and the signals are sent into the detector acquisition. So where the signals are converted into peaks, and that is that graph. The peaks are, we can collect a graph. That graph is known as chromatograph. So this is about the schematic diagram of HPLC and functions of the instruments. And next, next thing is application. So this technique is widely used in pharmaceutical as well as in environmental, forensic science, food industry, as well as in pathology, clinical lab industry. So these are the advantages. Okay, so this is about the HPLC. So up to now we have discussed five techniques. First one is paper chromatography, second one is thin layer chromatography, third one is column chromatography, and this is advanced to the column chromatography. Same here, in column chromatography the column is stationary phase is solid, here also stationary phase is solid, and mobile phase is liquid. In column chromatography here also mobile phase is liquid, but there we use the column that is packed with somewhat what we say large particle size of stationary phase, but here we are our column here in this our column is packed with finally divided stationary phase, and the particle size of the stationary phase should be around 3 to 10 millimoles. Okay, as the particle size of column is smaller or finer, then what happens, so these analyte molecules, due to the molecular size, the partition will be done, separation of the analytes done on the basis of difference in their molecular size. So that is ion exclusion, HPLC. So the technique is exclusively used in ion exclusion, HPLC. Okay. And next here what happens, the working principle, as like in column chromatography, here also same thing happens, adsorption, desorption both takes place, and applying principle is applicable principle is adsorption chromatography principle here also, and there also in ordinary column, this column. And the another difference between these two, ordinary HPLC, ordinary column chromatography, and this HPLC is the flow rate of mobile phase is very slow over in column chromatography, but here the mobile flow rate of mobile phase is very faster. Why? Because here we are applying high pressure, then the flow rate is governed by gravitational force, but here the flow rate is governed by whom? Applying the pressure. When we apply more pressure, then flow rate is more. So that means flow rate of mobile phase is directly proportional to the pressure applying here. So that's what sometimes this HPLC also referred as high pressure liquid chromatography system. Okay, and so that is the difference. And here where there in column chromatography we directly we introduce our sample mixture at the surface of the column, followed by the eluent. So first, once we introduce the mixture on the surface, we left for some time. So thereby what happens, due to different interactions, so the particles will be diffuse or travel some different distance. But here in this case the sample as well as mobile phase both are at once introduced into the column. So that is one more difference. And another difference is in column chromatography just we can collect the elute, but here the elutes are sent to the detector where the elute is detected, and we can give the information or chromatogram, that is a graph. With the help of that graph we can interpret the structure of analyte. Okay, so these are the advantages of HPLC over ordinary chromatography. And next one, these are the next one. Okay, so we are discussing about what techniques so far we have discussed. Okay, our paper chromatography, TLC, column chromatography, then ion exchange chromatography. In ion exchange chromatography, again that is two types, depending on resin, nature of resin. If our resin separates or exchange cations, so that is known as cation exchange ion chromatography. If our resin exchange anions, that is known as anion exchange chromatography. Next one is gas chromatography. Again, the gas chromatography, two types depending on the physical state of stationary phase. If our physical state of stationary phase is solid, then that is known as gas solid chromatography. But frequently we use gas liquid chromatography, gas liquid chromatography. That is also known as a GLC. Okay. Next one is this one, HPLC, high power liquid chromatography. So this is advanced. It has better what we say. It is the best compared to remaining, and this is widely used in various industries: pharmaceutical industry, environmental sciences, forensic sciences, food industry, and as well as clinical industry. Okay. Next one, these are the advantages. Okay, so and we left only one topic, that is analysis of pharmaceutical, sorry, paracetamol by HPLC. With this, we will complete this chromatography. So the chromatography, 2 units of fifth paper. So with this topic, we will complete officially 2 units of uh, paper 6. Okay, so first unit is comprised about solvent extraction, then chromatography, that to be paper chromatography, thin layer chromatography, and the second unit comprises column chromatography, ion exchange chromatography, gas chromatography, HPLC, and then analysis of paracetamol. So this is the last topic. So tomorrow we will discuss about this last topic. Okay, so thank you very much.